thanks for joining us on the news. I'm Ruth Aguele. My sign language interpreter is Hannah Olainka. Let's bring you the headlines. Supreme Court affirms Ademola Adeleke as governor of Osun State. ECOWAS Parliament First Ordinary Session 2023 gets underway in Abuja to review political and economic situation in member countries. Plus, dialogue to find solution to Sudan crisis continues in Juba, South Sudan. Peace in Sudan premised on the success of the truce talk seems to have arrived at a stalemate as warring parties have refused to discuss a permanent ceasefire, handing out assurances of power and capacity to eventually win the war. Let's hear from Kolo Mohammed.
A United Nations relief cargo slated for war-ridden Sudan is being loaded in Dubai onto an airplane to be sent to Sudanese refugees in Chad. Airstrikes again shook Sudan's capital yesterday, while the latest truce talks in Jeddah have yielded no positive results yet. A Saudi diplomat blamed the talks stalemate on the assertive belief by both warring parties of having the capacity to win the battle eventually. The warring parties in Sudan have pushed the situation to arrive at an inertia, owing to the fact that all parties feel they have the capacity to win the war eventually. So pushing forward. The war in Sudan has raged from April 15 to date. The international community and regional partners have engaged the warring generals who were partners before the war broke out. This has not stopped the killings, fleeing into neighboring countries by Sudanese citizens, evacuation of foreigners by the respective countries, and formal effort trailing an end to the war by diplomats, even though efforts applied so far to end the war has been non-kinetic in nature. Kolo Mohammed, NTA News.
Still staying in Sudan, the Sudanese army says it is committed to resolving the current conflict in the country through dialogue. Sudan's special envoy, Fala Al-Hajj, gave the information in Juba after meeting with South Sudan's President Salva Kiir. Adabula Brooksland Sunday reports.
South Sudanese government led by President Salva Kiir said regional political bodies including the East African Community, African Union and United Nations are keen on seeing an end to the conflict in Sudan. Sudan's special envoy Fala Al-Hajj said the Sudanese army is ready to negotiate with the paramilitary group Rapid Support Forces, stressing that South Sudan remains a prime country for facilitating the return of lasting peace in Sudan.
We have full confidence in President Salva Kiir that he will continue his efforts within IGAD, and also he has confirmed that the chairmanship of Sudan should continue. Instability happen in Sudan that will impact negatively the whole region. I assure you, we are not warmongers.
Delegates from the Rapid Support Forces and Sudan Armed Forces are currently in Saudi Arabia for pre-negotiations.
South Sudan reaffirmed its position that we in South Sudan, we are just at the gate of Sudan. Our interest is the stability and peace in Sudan. And peace in Sudan is peace in South Sudan.
The talks is aimed at opening up humanitarian corridors for the provision of essential services for the Sudanese people trapped by the conflicts. Adebola, Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
Our liberty, our democracy, our freedom of thought and of speech. Ukraine is fighting for the ideals of Europe that we celebrate today. These were the words of President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, at the celebration of 2023 Europe Day in Ukraine. Haman Jabani reports.
The Europe Day commemorates the signing of the Schuman's Declaration on 9th May 1950. This was an ambitious plan to secure long-term peace in the post-war Europe that is considered the beginning of what is now the European Union. Schuman's Declaration was more than just building peace among Europes. It was also about making Europe a driving force for peace in the world. This year's Europe Day will bring citizens together to learn more about how the EU is supporting peace, security and democracy through its resolve in the face of Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine and other conflicts worldwide. President van der Leyen paid tribute to all those who died due to the war in Ukraine, saying the EU will continue to do everything in its power to erode Putin's war machine and its revenues, cracking down on circumvention while proposing an 11th package of sanctions that include sharpening existing tools, adding more products on transit ban, proposing a new tool to combat sanctions circumvention, and proposing a ban shadow entity for Russian and third world countries that are intentionally circumventing the EU sanctions.
In this fight, the European Union and its member states stand shoulder by shoulder with Ukraine. The 9th of May also symbolizes something else, and that is solidarity. A solidarity born out of the lessons of the great conflicts of the 20th century. That is the spirit of our democracies. And dear President Zelensky, I am here today to assure you that you can count on that very same solidarity for as long as it takes.
Відбитті російських штурмів – це докази того, що ми можемо перемогти цього агресора.
President Zelensky said all the restrictions on Ukraine's export are completely unacceptable right now because they do not reinforce all in Europe but the ability of the aggressor. Europe Day 2023 will also enable visitors to get better acquainted with the EU's efforts to build a continent that is green, digital and competitive, fair and skilled, as well as strong, resilient and safe. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has received the Charles V European Award, given to individuals or organizations for their contributions to the general understanding and appreciation of the continent's beliefs and unification. Uche Ugochukwu reports.
UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, after receiving the Charles V European Award in Spain, urged leaders to work to achieve peace on a daily basis. He said, peace can never be underestimated or assumed it is made. In a world that is being torn apart, we must heal divisions, prevent escalations, and listen to grievances. Before the award, the UN chief said he sees no immediate possibility of reaching a comprehensive ceasefire in the war in Ukraine, as both sides are convinced they can win, and that the UN was instead focusing on talks with both Russia and Ukraine to solve concrete problems such as extending the Black Sea Grain Deal that is set to expire on May 18. The Charles V Award, granted by the European and Ibero-American Academy of Youth Foundation, recognizes the work of individuals, organizations, or initiatives that have contributed to the construction of Europe and the promotion of its values. Past winners include former German Chancellor Angela Merkel in 2021, Jacques Dallos in 1995, Mikhail Gorbachev in 2002, and fellow Portuguese José Sampaio in 2004, among others. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Sustainable management of the world's forest takes center stage at the United Nations Forum on Forests. Stakeholders we hear from across the world, that is from member states to civil society partners, gather to discuss this critical planetary resource. Onenge Fanfe's reports.
Forests cover 31% of the Earth's land area, contain over 80% of the world's terrestrial biodiversity, and store more carbon than the entire atmosphere. More than 1.6 billion people depend on forests for subsistence, livelihood, employment, and income. Despite these vital roles of forests to human existence, every year the world continues to lose 10 million hectares of forests.
we must draw attention to the critical importance of the forests and sustainable forest management in eradicating poverty, meeting people's basic needs, and tackling global challenges.
The 18th session of the United Nations Forum on Forests reviews progress towards the UN Strategic Plan for Forests 2030 and discusses its work on capacity development, forest financing, monitoring, assessment and reporting, enhanced cooperation and coordination, regional collaboration, communication and outreach, and stakeholder engagement.
Forest-related actions to combat climate change, including carbon sequestration, mitigation, and adaptation, contribute to the accomplishment of the Sustainable Development Goal 13 on climate change. A green economy that offers decent employment in the forestry sector helps in the achievement of SDGs 1, 8, and 10.
It is therefore critical for the Forum and its members to promote and highlight forest-based actions and contributions to address the current global challenges and accelerate progress toward the SDGs.
It is estimated that 2 billion hectares of degraded land worldwide could potentially be restored. Revitalizing degraded forests is critical for meeting the UN target of increasing global forest area by 3% in time for the 2030 deadline. Doing so would also help countries create new jobs, prevent soil erosion, protect watersheds, mitigate climate change, and safeguard biological diversity. Olmengiye Fine Face, NTA News.
The First Lady of Nigeria and outgoing President of the African First Lady Peace Mission, Aisha Buhari, has inaugurated a newly constructed permanent secretariat of the mission along Airport Road, Abuja, with optimism of strengthening the advocacy of the First Ladies of Africa towards promoting peace and development on the African continent, particularly as it affects women, youth and children. State House correspondent Aliyu Kabir reports that the First Lady also reaffirmed her determination to remain focused in her advocacy towards contributing to the mitigation of violent conflict in Africa and minimizing its negative impact on the people, especially women and children. She called on all the key players to come on board to achieve the target.
Positive peace is easier achieved by the way of well-functioning governments, equity in resources distribution, fair and equitable gender policies, transparency in information in our society, and respect for the rights and dignity of citizens everywhere. In this regard, I am happy to report that we have the buy-in and support of partners led by the AU towards the utilization of this edifice in order to harness the God-given talents and skill set of women and girls.
Various speakers reaffirmed their support to the African First Ladies in their resolve of obtaining lasting peace within the continent. The event was attended by the First Ladies from across the continent and the former First Ladies, as well as the representatives of the African Union, among others. To other issues, ECOWAS Parliament First Ordinary Session 2023 is underway in Abuja to review the political, security and economic situation in the West African sub-region, especially the progress made so far in restoring constitutional order in member states currently under military intervention. Onenge Fife's reports.
ECOWAS Parliament 2023 First Ordinary Session opened with a recognition of the exemplary and leadership role of Nigeria in West Africa, illustrated in the peaceful conduct of the 2023 general elections. This has attracted a commitment by the ECOWAS Commission to deploy necessary electoral assistance to other member states preparing for elections, including Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, and Liberia.
In this regard, I would like to commend the government and the people of Nigeria for their political maturity, which has made it possible to organize peaceful presidential and legislative elections. I take this opportunity to warmly congratulate the President-elect, His Excellency Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and to reiterate to him the community's full readiness to work closely with him on matters affecting our region.
Specific issues on the agenda of the session includes the transitional processes unfolding in Mali, Guinea and Burkina Faso, as well as proliferation of small arms and light weapons, threatening peace and sustainable development in the Sahel region.
The questions of transborder crime, human trafficking, threats to democracy, conflicts and insurgencies, unemployment and underemployment, and the general well-being of the people are still very significant matters that need our continuous attention.
The session presents members of parliament the opportunity to create awareness and push for the direct election of members into the ECOWAS parliament.
We have made sufficient advocacy for the election of members by direct universal suffrage, which we believe is vital towards giving this body more enhanced power and build our capacity to adequately exert our influence as a truly legislative body.
ECOWAS Parliament 2023 First Ordinary Session considers the draft work program of the ECOWAS Commission, reviews reports of member states, considers referrals from the ECOWAS Commission, as well as reports of various standing, joint and ad hoc committees on special missions. In Abuja, Onengiye Fineface, NTA News.
We have to take this break. We'll be back shortly. Don't go anywhere. Thanks for being there. Making computer science a mandatory subject in Nigerian schools will help build the information and communications technology capacity of Nigerian students, especially the girl child. This was the position of key players at the International Girls in ICT Day 2023 at the United Nations House in Abuja. Adebola Brookston Sunday reports.
Do you believe you can do it?
As Nigeria joins the rest of the world to mark the 2023 edition of the Girls in ICT Day, these young girls are being encouraged to follow their studies and careers in science, engineering, technology, mathematics, and other fields, as well as help them achieve their dreams.
500 ladies have done it successful in tech experts in Nigeria, then you can achieve it. There is nothing to be scared of. It's not as complicated as you think it is. Artificial intelligence is not, wow, what is this about?
Our convening power of bringing the girls, in contact with women in tech, to be able to encourage them and for them to also know that it's something that is doable, is something they can achieve as girls.
Digital Skill for Life, as the focus of this year's celebration, became an opportunity for some of the girls to showcase their works in the design and construction of drones, mobile applications, and mobile phone repair.
I'm in science, so I believe that, okay, I should be doing something in tech, something in ICT, but my art students, the commercial students, they don't really know that it's not only for science. Tech is for everybody that is interested.
I just felt that as an art student, I don't need ICT. But me being here today, I have exposed, or it has challenged me to go further. I want the federal government to seriously look into this. They should make computers available for all schools, so that at least, even though it's just 2 computers per school, at least it's manageable as long as all students can be involved.
As an exposure to the benefits of ICT in enabling their career and aspiration, the day does not only seek to achieve digital gender equality, but also addresses the importance of education and connectivity. Adebola Brookston Sunday, NTA News.
And to speak more on the UN Girls in ICT Day, the President of Women in ICT, that is Kemisola Bolarinwa. Thank you very much for joining us on the news.
Thank you, Ruth, for having me on the program.
All right, digital skills for life is the theme for this year's Girls in ICT Day celebration. Can you help us make a sense of this?
I will start with today. We are celebrating the International Girls in ICT Day. It's a day that is set aside for for girl child, in ICT all over the world, and we rejoice with them today actually. And the theme, that is digital skill for life, is something to me the interpretation is the skills that these girls can acquire irrespective of their background, of the subject they are offering, or of their profession. So the skills that can help them strive in their day-to-day activities. So I think that is what it means to me, on how those girls can acquire all those skills and make use of them, because all those things are tools, and make use of them in their various activities, especially studies and the career.
Okay, you have the data at your disposal. How would you rate the level of awareness of ICT among females, talking about the girl child in Nigeria?
Well, the awareness, it's a gradual thing. The low turnout of women inclusion in STEM-related field, it's a global challenge. We have few representation of women in this field, so it's a global challenge. So coming to Nigeria now, I think we are trying, but though it's not enough actually. It's not enough, but we are trying our best to make sure that we overcome this challenge. And I would say, as of the president of Women in ICT Foundation, that is our core mandate, for inclusion of young women in ICT or in STEM generally. We've been out to see what has been happening, to see how this awareness, the sensitization is all about, how it's impacting the girls and the young women. But it's quite unfortunate. It's kind of, the impact is not really much. Anyway, for the young women, actually, now we are having more young women going into digital skills now. Like I said, it doesn't matter what you study in the university. It doesn't matter what you study in secondary school. What matters is to you to acquire the skill that you can utilize in whatever you find yourself, whatever you're doing. So it's something that people are now going into now. People like entrepreneurs now. Yeah. They make it of the digital skills and all of that.
Okay. So Kemisola, let me hold your thoughts there. We don't have so much time. Okay. But from what you're saying, I've also witnessed brilliant young girls who are doing innovative things that will blow your mind. But what should government at all levels, development partners be doing to encourage more girls, embrace ICT? Very briefly. Well, this has to be from the school, from primary now. Like I said, we've been out to see what is going on in school, and we noticed that there's a low turnout of girl child involved in ICT. It's very, very low. The platform is not there for them. In school, having ICT Hub is not there. Some schools have it, but it's not functioning. So I think, and also we noticed that in some schools, this ICT thing is optional to them. And I want to say that it's not something that ought to be optional. So this is a call on government now to make ICT compulsory from both levels, from primary to tertiary, just like making mathematics and English compulsory. So ICT have to be compulsory too, because it's the tool needed. All right, indeed, digital skills for life. Thank you so much, Kemisola. Thank you for your time on the news. All right, we turn to judiciary matters. The Supreme Court has upheld the election of Ademola Adeleke as a duly elected governor of Osun State. The 5-man panel of justices led by Justice John Okoro, in a unanimous judgment, dismissed the appeal of the former governor of the state, Boyega Oyetola. Dele Atumbi reports.
The main issue in contention in this matter was the conduct of the Osun State governorship election, which was held on 16 July 2022. The Independent National Electoral Commission declared Ademola Adeleke of the PDP as the winner of the election. The immediate past governor of the state, Boyega Oyetola, challenged the outcome of the election at the Osun State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Osogbo. Oyetola and the APC in Osun State, as the petitioners, had the trial court alleged that there were overvoting in 774 polling units during the conduct of the election. The petitioners also alleged that as at the time of conducting the election, Ademola Adeleke, the candidate of the PDP in the election, was not qualified, and that the diploma certificate he submitted for the election was forged. In spite of the objection to the jurisdiction of the tribunal to handle some of the issues raised by the PDP and its candidate in the election, the tribunal failed to address the preliminary objection on its jurisdiction on the matter. The tribunal on January 27, 2023 nullified the election of Ademola Adeleke as the governor of Osun State and declared Gboyega Oyetola as the duly elected governor of Osun State. It was this verdict that Ademola Adeleke and the PDP appealed against. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja on 24th March 2023 nullified the verdict of the tribunal and upheld the election of Ademola Adeleke as the governor of Osun State.
The Law Tribunal in Osogbo to decide that this tribunal has no jurisdiction for the purpose of determining this petition. The tribunal did not consider those priority objections. They went straight away to the merits of the case. The position of the Supreme Court now is that once jurisdictional issue is raised in respect of a particular case or petition, you must first of all determine that as to whether you are having jurisdiction to determine that case or not, which they did not do, and it was on the basis of that that they said the judgment of the tribunal was a total nullity.
The verdict of the Supreme Court forecloses all adjudications on the conduct of Osun State governorship election conducted on July 16, 2022. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
The federal government is developing a policy for locally assembled and imported vehicles to have pre-fitted speed limiting device as a way of curbing the high rate of road crashes in the country. To this end, the Federal Road Safety Corps held a meeting in Abuja with policy makers and key players in the transportation sector to brainstorm on the policy. Let's hear more from Mitari Ikpen.
FRSC statistics show that more than 1,400 persons died from road crashes on Nigerian roads between January to March this year. 8,000 more were injured, and 89% of more than 2,700 crashes were caused by excessive speed. The toll on families and national economy is better imagined. Little wonder the introduction of speed limiters for vehicles in 2016 was seen as a life-saving policy. Ironically, speed limiters are limited in number, and compliance leaves much to be desired.
Speed-related crashes still persist due to a lot of compromise by some fleet and other commercial vehicle operators who alter the calibration of the device to beat government regulations. This is in addition to outright resistance by vehicle owners who view it as added cost to vehicle acquisition, and of course, complaint of tampering with the operation of the vehicle system.
As it fitted in their vehicles, you cannot tell people to install speed limiters on their vehicles while you speed over them.
There is consensus that more road transport reforms are required to reduce crashes as well as save lives and livelihoods. In Abuja, Mitari Ikpen, NTA News.
That's the news. Do stay safe. That's the message. I'm Ruth Aguwele. My sign language interpreter is Hannah Olainka. Bye.